They won't know it's them. They are too dumb. In this video, we will look at the end of Capote's relationship with the Swans, the fallout from the publication of his chapters, and the writer's tragic end. In the late 60s, Truman was the toast of New York City. His social circle consisted of the most elegant women in the world he had nicknamed the Swans. These women were famous for their beauty, style, wealth, and social status. They included Babe Paley, the wife of William S. Paley, the founder of CBS. Babe Paley was known for her impeccable style and was often listed on best-dressed lists. Slim Keith, born Nancy Gross. She was a New York socialite and style icon, known for her connections in the Hollywood and literary circles. Gloria Guinness, a Mexican-born socialite who married into the Guinness beer dynasty. Gloria was celebrated for her elegance and was a prominent figure in high society. CZ Guest, a socialite and style icon. CZ Guest was known for her chic fashion sense and was a regular on best-dressed lists. Pamela Harriman, the former wife of Randolph Churchill, son of Winston Churchill, and later, the U.S. ambassador to France. She was known for her charm and marriages to influential men. Marella Agnelli, an Italian noblewoman. Marella was married to Gianni Agnelli, the head of Fiat Automobiles. She was known for her sophisticated taste and involvement in the arts. Lee Radziwill, born Caroline Lee Bouvier, the sister of Jackie Kennedy, was an American socialite, public relations executive, and interior decorator, renowned for her sophisticated style and association with high society. These women were not only socialites but also fashion icons and muses for various designers and artists. They were often featured in fashion magazines and were part of the elite social circles of their time. Capote was fascinated by their lives. They let him in on all of their secrets, and all the while he was writing a book, which he thought would be his best ever, blending fact and fiction that would do for American literature what Proust had done previously for French. However, the years were dragging on. He was drinking heavily and writing next to nothing. The book was to be called Answered Prayers. "I will finish by January 1969, he said. 4 or 5 people get exactly what they want, and the result. I'm not telling. It is sort of about some people I know, and places I've been. Because of Truman's success, to many it sounded fantastic. 20th Century Fox sewed up the film rights for $350,000. All Truman had to do was deliver a manuscript of 60,000 words. With the deadline looming, he wasn't writing. He had become addicted to the easy pleasures of the rich, the very people he was about to betray. Despite him missing the January deadline as he continued to go off on holidays and road trips with his Swans, Random House gave him a contract for a 3-book deal, paying him $750,000. He no longer enjoyed the process. Instead, he preferred the life of leisure, not the tedium of writing. Random House gave him a new deadline for Answered Prayers of January 1970, one which he also missed. Despite this, he went off on a cruise with the Angelis and brought a few excerpts from the book. Though Maria spoke English well, she asked Truman to read them to her. She was an avid reader and had read his previous works and considered him one of the great writers of the age. However, as he read, she wondered who this person was. Where was the great writer she knew? The work was shallow, trivial, and just plain nasty. Some of the people she knew, some she didn't, but it was all the same. It was just petty. "Oh, Truman, this is a gossip column," she told him. She had always seen how he would put the other ladies and their husbands down when they weren't around. But this moment was a great awakening for her. She had considered him her closest friend, but seeing this side of him, that beneath it all he was just a petty gossip columnist, she decided to end the friendship. Lee Radziwill. During one of their meetings, she told Truman the most painful secret in her life, that she was jealous of her sister Jackie Kennedy. Lee herself was married to a Polish prince. She told him she was consumed with jealousy of her sister, all she could think or talk about. She hated herself for feeling that way, but she couldn't control it. It made her feel sad, empty, and lost. She had married a prince, had an estate in England and houses around the world, but was always in Jackie's shadow. At a dinner at Buckingham Palace, given for the president and the first lady, Prince Philip leaned over to Lee and said, "You are just like me. You always walk 3 steps behind." her marriage was on the rocks, and she was having an affair with the Greek magnate Aristotle Onassis. In 1962, when Jackie and John's son Patrick died, Lee invited Jackie to come visit her. The moment Jackie arrived, Lee knew she had made a mistake. Aristotle couldn't take his eyes off her, showering her with constant attention, once again pushing Lee to the background. Immediately after the lunch, Truman called his friend Cecil and told him all about it. Had lunch with Princess Lee. My God, how jealous she is of Jackie. Understand her marriage is all but finito. Lee trusted Truman absolutely. When Jackie married Aristotle Onassis, Lee viewed it as a betrayal and called Truman, "How could she do this to me? How could this happen?" In his unfinished novel, he referred to Lee and Jackie as a pair of Western geisha girls. By January 1971, Truman was so late in delivering the book that 20th Century Fox was demanding he repay the $200,000 they had given as a down payment. He was drinking whiskey and taking pills, and at 57, he had neither the ambition or discipline to do what was expected of him. Truman received all kinds of warnings about publishing La Côte Basque, 1965, an 11,000-word excerpt from his new novel Answered Prayers, which was scheduled to appear in Esquire magazine in November 1975. Truman had been telling these tales all over town, but this was different. His biographer told him, "You can't publish this. The characters are barely cloaked. Everyone will recognize themselves, and worse, others will recognize them too." Truman dismissed this with a wave of his hand, saying, "Nah, they're too dumb. The novella takes place over lunch in Manhattan. The action flips from one table to the next." While he used pseudonyms for the Swans, everyone could recognize who they were. Lady Ana Coolberth, based on Slim Keith, is drinking champagne, spreading scandalous gossip about everyone. Lady Ana tells a story where she was once staying at the Kennedys. When she was 18, late at night, Joe Kennedy came into her room and assaulted her. She speaks of herself getting old and that only gay men will treat her with kindness. Gloria Vanderbilt and Carol Saroyan make appearances under their own names. Truman took digs at their serial divorces as they gossiped about the other women in their circle, like Charlie Chaplin's wife. He sums them up as charmingly incompetent adventurers. He has Lee and her sister Jacqueline sitting at a table. He calls Jackie unrefined, exaggerated, an artful female impersonator, impersonating Mrs. Kennedy. But the one hurt the most was Babe. The Paleys had given him gifts, flown around the world with him, introduced him into all the circles. In the story, he includes a businessman named Dylan based clearly on William Paley. In the story, he details Dylan's one-night stand with what is obviously the real Marie Harriman. The story is told by Lady Ana, who says she also had an affair with Dylan. The event happened in the 1950s when Marie's husband was governor of New York. Lady Coolberth questions how Dylan, a Jew, could go for such a woman when he was married to the beautiful Cleo Dillon, who was very clearly Babe Palin. She claims that Dylan only slept with the governor's wife because he was a Jew, who wasn't allowed into society by the Protestants, and this was his way of getting revenge. Truman wrote, he wanted to revenge himself on that smug hog bottom, make her sweat and squeal, and call him daddy. Coolberth continues recounting the affair. They had sex in the marital bed without the lights on, and she was already dressed and leaving when he turned on the lights. As he looked down on the bed, it was covered in blood. The governor's wife was having her period, and Dylan thought she did this to get even with him. The businessman then spent the night trying to clean the sheets to hide it from his wife. Babe had told Truman, her closest friend, this information in confidence, and here it was casually being discussed in the novella, and what was worse, everyone knew who it was about. Truman was giddy with anticipation, knowing it was about to be released. But when it was, the calls from his friends stopped. He grew pale and stayed in his room, reading and rereading the pages. What did they expect? He said, "I'm a writer, and I use everything." Did all those people think I was there just to entertain them? He was bullish that his book would go down well, telling Dick Cavett, the talk show host, "No one's going to be the least bit annoyed with me unless they've been left out." Only as the dust began to settle after the chapter's explosive publication did Capote realize what he had done. His best friends were lost to him. He locked himself in his flat in the United Nations Plaza, sobbing on his bed, repeating the words, "I didn't mean to. I thought they'd come back." Babe Paley never spoke to him again. And when she died of lung cancer 3 years after the excerpt's publication, he wasn't invited to the funeral. He sent Slim Keith a note, trying to rekindle their friendship in it, saying, "I have decided to forgive you." She never replied. Marella Agnelli did not appear in the story, as she had broken with Truman, nor did CZ, who stayed close to Truman. As for Lee, in the end she turned her back on Truman during a lawsuit with Gloria Guinness, and in return he trashed her and the Kennedys on television. Her jealousy of Jackie, her hopes to marry Onassis, her thanklessness, that was the end of their relationship. She cut him out of her life. His cocaine and alcohol use increased. Slurring words in public, he began to suffer hallucinations. At a book reading, he kept forgetting what he had read, reading the same passages over and over. Perhaps sensing the end was near, Capote booked a one-way flight to Los Angeles to stay at the home of Joanne Carson, the swan married to the Miami philanderer from his novella, who was meant to be Johnny Carson. But she was still a close friend. Telling her he felt fragile, Carson joked, "Truman, don't you dare. You die, and I'll never speak to you again." When his breathing became difficult, Capote begged Carson not to call an ambulance, and died in her arms saying, "Mama." He was only 59. For years he had been in pain. Gore Vidal reacted to his rival's death by calling it a wise career move, and would have answered prayers. An incomplete version of 3 chapters was published. The full manuscript is rumored to be stashed in a Greyhound bus station in Nebraska, or a bank vault, or long since incinerated in Capote's fireplace, or that it was never finished at all. "But my dear, so few things are fulfilled," he once said. "What are most lives but a series of incomplete episodes?" Thanks for following the story of the Swans and Capote. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.